Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 12th, 2017 Administration and Public Works Committee meeting. We have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2017 minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any question, edits, or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Fleming, would you like to take item A1, please?
A1, payroll, May 1st, 2017 through May 14th, 2017, $2,913,680.94. Payroll, May 15th, 2017 through May 28th, 2017, $2,778,643.60. Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A2, Alderman Rainey.
The City of Evanston bills, move to recommend them to the council through June 13 in the amount of $5,344,098.54.
I'd like to take something off of the list, please.
Is there a second first? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Alderman Fleming.
If we look at our memo you received from Wolf explaining, it's number 7 here. It's on page 3 of the bills list, account 62130, in the amount of $3,543.75 for legal fees rendered regarding the local election. I would like to just discuss the city's liability for payment here.
Okay. Do we have someone who can speak to that? Attorney Farrar.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Grant Farrar, Corporation Counsel. With respect to the invoices that are before this committee, at the beginning of the issues that were attendant to the filings in November, Clerk Green reached out to me and indicated that he would like to obtain independent legal counsel to advise him in his capacity as a local election official. I spoke with him and I indicated to him that may be appropriate given the fact that I also have a conflict of interest related to the matter, and that he needed independent legal counsel separate and apart regarding his duties as a local election official, and that he may wish to retain an independent attorney. So that attorney came on board. I had a few preliminary conversations with that attorney indicating that Clerk Green was in need of assistance and some legal advice, and that the clerk would have to talk with her directly. I took myself out of the loop, and I also told Clerk Green that he would have to submit those invoices for payment per city's standard operating procedures. So in terms of the liability, it is an invoice that is due. The attorney indicates that the services were rendered. I have no reason to dispute it, but of course I was not involved in it. So it's a bill that's placed in line for payment like any other bill.
Questions? Everyone, we'll start with Alderman Rainey and then just work our way down the list.
Well, I can certainly see why some would question this. However, if you were a candidate for office during that period of time, the mantra of our city attorney and the county clerk and our city clerk was, hey, if you have any questions, you need to consult an attorney. I, for one, did research across all the municipalities when there was the confusion about what date to file. Every single city clerk said, people have to consult attorneys, et cetera, et cetera. And people were telling Rodney Green, legal counsel is necessary. So legal counsel was necessary for him to get so that he could give us the advice of the legal counsel. So I was surprised to see this bill. I think it would have been good if he had told us that he was seeking this counsel.
Sure.
That would have made me feel a lot more confident, which we did not know. But I I understand why people are concerned, but I think this was completely legitimate because it appears as though he was not getting personal legal advice. He was getting legal advice to share with all of the candidates. So that, to me, makes me feel confident that this was legitimate.
Thank you for your
I
insight.
wish we had known.
Alderman Sufferton.
Yeah, I was just going to respectfully request that we hold off on paying this bill until we confirm that all the attorney work product is in the possession of the clerk's office.
Thank you. Do we know what we're paying the new attorney to look through this? What's our hourly rate?
I'm unaware of, I don't know what's going on if the city clerk has a independent legal counsel advising him on election-related matters. And I don't know anything about the work product between the former clerk and the attorney that represented him. I am not aware of any ongoing legal representation that's going on. If it is, I'm unaware of it.
So I guess my straightforward question is, I mean, this is a bill for $3,500. Thank you, Alderman Rainey, for your insight. How do we manage that it just doesn't happen again is my question. Alderman Rainey, did you want to?
Well, from reading the information that we received, the handwritten notes and things from the attorney regarding the hourly charges, it appeared as though it was information specific
Right.
to the election and the filings. I might be taking a leap in thinking that's all that there was, but it appeared as though that, I mean, it was during the time frame when we were all filing and getting that information. So if there's something, I would have no problem getting the information Alderman Suffredin's asking for, but if that's what it was, then I'm totally good with paying the bill. But we can.
Okay.
My only suggestion is that there, in the invoice, there's a couple of memorandum that were prepared. I just want to confirm that the clerk's office has possession of those, and then once that's confirmed, I'm fine with paying the bill.
Alderman Fleming?
I guess my question came about in the same light. I remember being part of that process just in the audience and hearing that Clerk Green needed to seek legal counsel. I guess I would like for there to be just further clarification in the future. If as an elected official I need to seek legal counsel, I would, I guess, maybe make the naive assumption that I need to pay for that myself. So just clarity as to when we are paying for legal counsel for our city staff or elected officials and when they are responsible for paying legal counsel, for their own use, which was my assumption during the trial or whatever we called it.
Do you want to respond before we take Alderman Rainey's question?
Well,
I don't know if that was a question.
all I can say is I recommended the city clerk, former city clerk Green, bring this matter through the proper channels, through the invoicing process, and perhaps the information could have been broached and made aware to this committee sooner if that advice had been taken up on. But yes, I mean, anytime that there's an issue related to local election official duties that are within the city clerk's purview, the city clerk should be able to make the request to seek independent legal advice and then have those invoices properly presented to this body for approval.
Thank you. So I guess, I know Alderman Rainey, can I ask a quick follow-up is, Alderman Suffredin, I don't know if you've had a chance to speak with the clerk. I'm curious then, why do we need another attorney to look through whatever the attorneys? I'm confused why there's a second attorney, why we're paying for a second attorney. Did I miss that? That's the question that I'd asked before. Did I miss that?
No,
You didn't say that, so
No.
I made it all up?
No, I did not. No.
There's no one else consulting on it? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
That I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I was out of this loop. I was out of this loop as soon as the Ansel Glink firm came on. I was out of the loop with respect to what was going on between the city clerk and his retained attorneys for purposes of dealing with his duties as a local elected official.
Okay. Alderman Rainey?
I just wanted to respond to Alderman Fleming. The city clerk is different than the alderman. We have no budget that we can draw from independently. We put all our requests either through DAR or the city manager. The city clerk has his own budget or her own budget, and if he has legal expenses, there's a line item for that. Don't go hiring a lawyer without asking the city manager or or DAR. So we're different, and the city clerk has a perfect right to make those expenses and then submit them for payment and take the chance that it's either going to get paid or not. So I think we're very different.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Rainey. Alderman Suffredin?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. All I'm asking for is that we just confirm that any written work product that was created on behalf of the city clerk's office be in possession of the city clerk's office. before we
So I
take
think
it.
Alderman Fleming moved to hold. We just need someone else to second it and then a date when we can come back, if I'm correct. I was one second.
Second.
Okay, there are two holds. It's held. To our next,
Okay.
did you want to speak?
Mr. Chair, if the vote is successful to hold, I just wanted to give the committee the right amount for the amended bills list. If
Okay.
this is pulled off, then I would give a new amount with the $3,543.75 removed.
So it's, who made the motion? Alderman Rainey, it's 5.
What's your number, Dave?
5,340,554.7.
Thank you.
Alderman Rainey, would you like to make an amendment? To the new amount?
Oh, okay, how much is it?
5,340,544.
554.
Pardon me, 554 and 79 cents.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the City of Evanston bills as amended through June 13 in the amount of $5,340,554.79.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments? Seeing no further lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Suffredin, item A 3.1, please.
Staff recommends that the city council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for a citywide generator evaluation, RFP number 1730, with CCJM Engineers in the amount of $54,339.99. Funding is provided by the Capital Improvements Fund, 2017 General Obligation Bonds, and the project was budgeted at $70,000 in fiscal year 17.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Simmons, item A 3.2, please.
Contract with Construction Consulting and Disbursement Services Incorporated for Fleetwood Jordan washroom renovations. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the Fleetwood Jordan washroom renovations with Construction Consulting and Disbursement Services Incorporated in the amount of $182,900. Funding will be provided from the Capital Improvements Fund 2017 GO bonds with a budget of $150,000. The additional $32,900 will be funded from realized savings from the generator study and the James Park Northfield renovation project. This is for action.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Alderman Fleming, you want to take item 3.3, please?
Contract with L&R Construction Company for James Park Northfield renovations. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the James Park Northfield renovation project with L&R Construction Company out of Chicago in the amount of $930,062.32. Funding will be provided from the Capital Improvement Fund 2017 GO bonds. This project was budgeted at $1 million for fiscal year 2017. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3.3, and Alderman Rainey, and then we have
Right,
some speakers.
we do. Should we make the,
I
Introduce or-
introduce, and then we'll have
Okay.
the speakers, please.
All right.
Thank you.
this is pretty exciting. Those of you who have the blue sheet tonight, there's some changes from item 3.4. So I'm going to move the latest news, and that is staff is recommending, and so hopefully is the Administration of Public Works, that the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a master agreement to provide services to an aggregated group, RFP 1733, with Dynergy Energy Services LLC for a 36-month term with a 100% renewable energy mix for the fixed price of $7.132 per kilowatt hour. I'm going to let, I don't know if our staff wants to address this. This is for 3 years. We had 2 alternate retail electric suppliers that bid on this, Dynergy and MC Squared, and Dynergy gave us the best deal. So I'm moving approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Before we have 4 speakers signed up to speak, I just wanted Director Stonebeck to walk us through, and the order of the speakers are Richard Lanyon, John Newsma, Nicola, I'm going to butcher this name, my apologies, Soshapi? And then Elizabeth Kinney. Director Stonebeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Dave Stonebeck, Public Works Agency Director. Our current aggregation will end in July, and so we're looking to have a new supplier. The prices that we received are a little bit higher than what our last ones, our current contract is, but they're in line. I think the biggest thing to talk about here is that we recommend a 3-year term because the difference, the amount increase from a 12-month duration to a 24 or 36-month duration is very low, and we think that that's appropriate over a 3-year period. Secondly, we're recommending 100% renewable energy because that's the only way the city can meet its climate energy goal. The ComEd current cost to compare, which has started in June, is 6.892 cents. This contract won't start until August, so it'll be 2 months where we're paying more than the current ComEd rate to compare. But we already know that in October, the ComEd price to compare will raise to 7.15 cents, and it will be locked into a contract at 7.13 cents. And that our cost is for 100% renewable, where the ComEd cost to compare is at only 10% renewable energy. Dynergy Energy is the parent company to Homefield, which is our current supplier. We have not had any issues at all. We also, during this request for proposal process, assured that anybody that moves into Evanston can request Dynergy and be included into the aggregated group at our terms and conditions. The other thing that we have information on is that we can request ComEd to find out who's new in Evanston and do a sweep to include them in aggregation if we wanted to, once every quarter. If the council wants to do that, I'll prepare a resolution to modify our current plan of governance on this, because right now it says that they would not automatically be included. But I'll bring that resolution back at a later date with more information. But overall, I think that this is a very good proposal that we received, and it's favorable compared to the known ComEd price to compare. It starts in October.
Thank you. Are there any questions before we have our speakers? All right, seeing none. Sir.
Thank you, Alderman Braithwaite and members of the committee. My name is Richard Lanyon, Evanston resident, and I am chairman of the Utilities Commission. We've worked several years on this issue, and again, I'm pleased to appear before you to recommend that you approve the master agreement as recommended by staff. It's a benefit for the residents of Evanston who are in the aggregation program, and it will help the city meet its climate action reduction goals. Mr. Stonebeck stated all the good points of this. I won't repeat them, but I would encourage you to consider the matter of a resolution that would alter the plan of governance to allow new residents to be included in the aggregation program. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jonathan Nusma.
Chairman Braithwaite and Alderman, my name is Jonathan Nusma, President of Citizens Greener Evanston, and I've had the pleasure of speaking with several of you personally, and I know several other CGE members have spoken with others of you. So in the interest of keeping things short, I'll just reiterate my support for continuing aggregation with renewable energy. I'm glad that it looks like we're going to be going for another 3 years here. And as much as I enjoy this process and talking to everyone, I'm hoping that between now and 2020, we can come up with a long-term solution that doesn't involve having this conversation every 1 to 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Nikolai. Pronounce your
Yes,
last
my
name.
name's Nikolai Skauspo. I live at 1139 Elmwood in Evanston. Most of the major points have been covered already, so I just wanted to commend the council for taking this matter up and directly securing this favorable agreement for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And then our last person is, it looks like Miss Elizabeth Keeney.
Good evening, Chair Braithwaite and members of the Administration and Public Works Committee. I'm Elizabeth Kinney, a resident of Evanston and co-president of the League of Women Voters of Evanston. I'm here tonight to express the League's strong support for renewable sourced energy. It's one of the best ways for Evanstonians to reduce their carbon footprint. More than half of Evanston's recent reduction in its carbon footprint has come from electricity aggregation. The League urges the city to continue Evanston's reduction of its carbon footprint by approving a 100% green power electricity contract as outlined by Mr. Stonebeck. Such action will help us achieve the goals of our climate action plan. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, all those in favor of passing item 3.4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Suffern, item 3.5, please.
Item 3.5 is a change order to the contract for various parking lot improvement engineering with Gewalt Hamilton Associates. It is a change order that was requested by Alderman Rainey to expand the scope of work, include an analysis design of on-street parking on Callan in Ward 8, and will cost $17,750. This will increase the contract amount from $170,650 to $188,400 and extend the contract completion date to July 28th, 2017. Funding will be provided from Capital Improvement Program, general obligation bonds, and it has a FY 2017 budget of $80,000. It's for action.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I feel that I need to make a public explanation of this, although I sent each alderman a separate letter with an attached map indicating the street and the adjacent streets and an explanation. This is to widen Callan, the 100 block of Callan. It is a very densely populated street and with multifamily housing, and it has unbelievably only one side of the street parking because the street is too narrow. And it is scheduled to be widened in 2018, and fortunately, there has been some unused money, leftover money, and it has been found that it could conceivably be included in this year's program, 2017 capital program. And so I have asked that it could be, and it has been agreed that we're going to give it a shot. And the reason it's just become so intense down there, we have attempted, and I've outlined every single effort we've made to resolve this problem in the short run, and it cannot be resolved. An overwhelming number of illegal parking tickets are being given to the neighbors because they have no other choice. The neighborhood is bound on one side by the train tracks and a park. On the other side by Howard Street and Chicago. On the other side by Custer. And there's just no place for these folks to go. The city lot has a waiting list of 6 months. 5-6 years ago, this parking lot had no waiting list and probably about 10 permit holders. So things have changed on a rapid basis. And I know Alderman Braithwaite used to be a neighbor in this neighborhood. But he moved on out. He moved up in the world and moved on out. I'm hearing that tune in my head. But it's just the most fabulous neighborhood. The neighbors are starting to go at one another. There's nothing we can do. I've worked with staff. We have actually taken away no parking here to corner signs. That's a terrible thing to do, to add parking. And we've done that. We've added like 9 or 10 spaces by doing that, leaving signs where school buses turn so that, they don't crash into one another. And this is the only answer. And so I've asked the members of the council to move this up a year, and I've not heard of anybody yet who's very opposed to it. So I'm hoping we can go forward. And thank you for your consideration.
Alderman Fleming.
Yeah, so I have a question for staff, and I don't know which staff it is, sorry. So for my knowledge, so this project has moved up a year because whatever has changed and we have some money available. So can you just fill me in, whoever, on that process of when there are new projects that come up, how other aldermen can be notified in case we also have other projects such as Alderman Rainey that could be moved up a year in our ward. So I don't know if that's a Dave question or a Marty question or.
Could I just respond to one thing she said? This is something I've been asking for years.
No, I know,
so
but
it's not a new thing that I just came up with.
No, but I'm saying if we.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Marty Lyons. The process is normally that we go through the capital improvements plan and everything that's in there. In last fall, we would have went through and evaluated how much dollars we can afford in both the bond to issue as debt and also from ongoing dollars and grants. And then during the year, we do evaluate projects on an ad hoc basis. And this year, we've been very fortunate. We've had 2 or 3 projects that have come in $300,000, $400,000 under budget. Sheridan Road was substantially under budget. And during that time frame, or when that happens, we do look at what else we can do. In this case, Alderman Rainey was the initiator. And we took the information, and engineering staff did evaluate it. It was in, as she noted, it was in the plan for 2018. The short answer is there isn't necessarily a process that we have in place right now that would say when we're way under budget on 2 or 3 bids, how do we move a project up? That has not been addressed by this council or the previous council. There's nothing you'll find in the rules. She's made the request. The proper venue then is for staff to price it out and bring it to you for consideration.
Thank you. Alderman Suffredin.
I just wanted to ask, is the parking on the other side of Howard Street, on the Chicago side, is that neighborhood zoned, or is it is? So that there is no option to park?
And in fact, we've zoned to keep them out also. So it's not a friendly situation.
Yeah, I would add, we've had several, over the last 3 years, we've had several increases in restricted areas just for that reason that we have, we know that there's a migration, that the Chicagoans park on the Evanston side, walk the 3 blocks to the other side, and so we've had a lot more resident-only districts being put in place at the Transportation and Parking Committee, which is then reviewed by the council, and it's an ordinance that gets passed.
We have taken every action possible from Clyde all the way up to Asbury on special parking over Howard. Every single.
Thank you. So just to members of the committee, then I recognize your light, Alderman Fleming. I'm in a similar situation with the Main Street Improvement Project, that it was budgeted in the 2018 CIP budget just to do a phase 1 design, and I've asked staff to look at the feasibility of just doing both phases because of the great job that our staff has done with collecting information and feedback from the committee. So the hope is, and Mr. Lyons has indicated that, over the last year or so, we've seen a drop in our bid prices that are coming back. So I'm hoping that I can do the same thing, and it's something that's, I shouldn't say done all the time, but.
And if I may, Mr.
Please.
Chair, we were on the other side of the coin less than 2 years ago
Right.
with all of the work being done on both 90 and 294. Both the contractors and the material were in scarce supplies, and we had bids that were way over, and we deferred projects because we still wanted to get a certain project done that was already designed. So I would we have a meeting next Monday to talk about a variety of issues on council planning. And also this summer, we're going to talk further about budget planning and how we approach it. So this is definitely a topic that could be brought up during that budget planning on how the new council would like to handle changes in capital based on bids as they're received during the year.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey.
Well, I want to make it clear that this is not a frou-frou item. This is a hardcore quality of life issue. And it is, I mean, people are walking 3-4 blocks or driving around 10, 20 minutes at night. It's really serious. And the people who are parked in that neighborhood at night are people who live there. These are not out-of-towners. And the parking, the illegal parking that's going on, the people who are getting tickets are people who live on the street. I mean, we've done the survey. I mean, Mr. Voss I've asked him to look at the tickets. We've looked at the tickets. We know who are the violators. They're the neighbors. They're paying these extraordinary parking tickets. They feel they have nothing else they can do. They're not people from Chicago sneaking over thinking they can get away with it. It's us. The problem is us, in other words.
And I do want to make sure that I explain myself for the benefit of the new alderman in that we have a 5-year capital plan. And in both cases, the one that the project Alderman Rainey referenced and the project that Alderman Braithwaite referenced are both projects that are in the next year. So this is a common thing with capital plans that in any city, that the capital plan, you can move a project up, you can move a project back. Ms. Storley runs the fleet capital purchases, and we quite often will have vehicles identified in a given year, and one might move forward and one might move back based on departmental needs, how the vehicle is doing, but that can be $200,000, $500,000 for a pumper. So these are large dollars, but they can shift back and forth. Our goal is to try and manage the overall capital project and inch forward all the time, try and get one more project done than we anticipated.
Thank you. And thank you for the explanation. And we individually sit with Mr. Lyons come budget time and review all of the projects that are coming up in your individual wards. Seeing no lights, any other discussion or questions? We'll call the question. All those in favor of item 3.5, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Simmons, item A 3.6, please.
Sole source renewal of contract agreement with Call One. Staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute a one-year contract renewal for telecommunication services with Call One in the estimated amount of $129,000 for the 12-month period beginning June 13th of this year. The contract agreement utilizes a suburban purchasing cooperative program under the auspices of the Northwest Municipal Conference. The projected annual cost is 14% reduction from 2016, an estimate based on our previous year's billing. Actual charges vary depending on usage and service charges. Funding is provided by 7 business units noted on the corresponding transmittal. This is for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing item 3.6, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3.7, Alderman Fleming.
Sole source contract renewal of Acelia maintenance and support agreement. Staff recommends the City Council authorize the city manager to execute the renewal of a software licensing agreement with Acelia Incorporated for a period of 2 years at a cost of $89,945.28 per year. This software provides support for city licensing and permitting activities in community development, health, fire, and public works agency. This renewal agreement represents a 43% reduction from last year's cost and will cover the period of March 1st, 2017 through February 28, 2019. Funding is provided from the Information Technology Division's Computer Licensing and Software Fund from a fiscal year 17 budget of $500,000 and a year-to-date balance of $351,036.76. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, no questions. All those in favor of passing item 3.7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 3.8, Alderman Rainey.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that we recommend to the council that we authorize the purchase of 6 replacement vehicles for the Public Works Agency from Curry Motors in the amount of $126,479. JX Peterbilt in the amount of $546,487.50, and Standard Equipment in the amount of $330,493.65. Move approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next, supplement.
Sure. Staff recommends City Council approval of a one-year contract with 3 one-year renewals for the purchase of emergency lighting, sirens, and aftermarket products and services in the amount of $80,960 to Havey Communications.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Simmons.
Staff recommends City Council approval of first-time application for a sidewalk cafe permit for Euro Revolution, a Type 2 restaurant located at 1009 Davis Street. The sidewalk cafe will consist of 3 tables with 2 seats each for a seating capacity of 6 and will operate daily 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Fleming, item 311.
Staff recommends approval for financial assistance of landscaping services through the Great Merchants Grant Program totaling $33,550 to 5 Evanston business districts: Evanston West End Business Association, $8,640, Central Street Business Association, $5,760, Dr. Hill's Arts Business District, $10,000, Howard Street Business Association, $1,850, and West Village Business Association, $7,300. Funding will be from the Economic Development Business District Improvement Fund. The approved 2017 fiscal year budget allocated $350,000 to this amount. However, as of May 2017, $8,416.50 have been spent to complete facade projects and to fund entrepreneurship support program requests, leaving the account with $341,583.50. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Alderman Rainey, item 312.
Are we going to have a report?
Pardon me?
Presentation?
Yes.
Okay, let me move.
Move it
I'll
for-
move the first quarter financial report for fiscal year 2017. I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Lyons.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Normally, we would be providing this report first meeting in May at the latest. We close out by March 31st, and then we report 1 month later. Because of the election, we held the report until everybody had a chance to catch their breath. And mainly, we're able to do this because our first quarter, as you'll see, the city always runs very well in the first quarter, and that has a lot to do with the timing of revenues. And in this year, I said always. I really shouldn't say always. A few years back, we had the blizzard in February that made the city's first quarter not so good, so it can happen. But this year we had a very mild winter, so what you're going to see is an operating budget in the general fund that is looking very good, but there's reasons to stay vigilant throughout the whole year. So without further ado, I will jump right in. Revenues are at 28.5%. They are above the first quarter of 25% because we have all of the first installment of property taxes in. So that puts us up at 55% almost of property taxes. So that's why we're over budget there. As we go into the revenues, I'll explain which revenues are over and which revenues are under. For instance, heating, electric and heating natural gas, way under because January, February were some of the warmest days on record. Expenses in the same way are below budget, and that's not below budget by too much because the other thing that we do now is that half of the police and fire pension fund costs are also charged in the first quarter because that's when we get the property taxes in to pay for those pensions. So our pension costs for police and fire get charged in the first quarter and in the third quarter. So you'll see spikes each year that are big spikes from police and fire pension costs that are associated with our tax levy. So with that being said, we are happy to be at the $19.7 million fund balance level and cash balance at 11.5. Every monthly report that we give you has an explanation of why fund balance and cash balance is different. Cash balance is just cash, what you would see at the bank on March 31st. Fund balance includes all of our receivables and payables. So if we have a receivable revenue from the state that hasn't shown up yet, it's in fund balance. If we have money that we owe to somebody, it's taken out of fund balance. We have the good news is, unlike the state, we have more money owed to us than money that we owe to people. So, and we do catch up with all of that information in the annual audit. So going into detail, as I noted before, you've got the property taxes at 50%. The other taxes only at 23.6. So that's showing you that our other taxes, which include sales tax, income tax, utility taxes, they're a little bit below budget year to date. One of the other ones that is always going to be below at this point in time is permit revenue. A lot of times we get permit revenue in more in the as buildings are set to go for the construction season. However, this is a little bit low, even below that amount, because we've got some very large buildings that are being considered right now, and the building permit revenue was in the budget. So that's one of the reasons why that you see that permit revenue at 11.6 million for a budget. That's why that's a large number for this year.
What about the fees, Marty? What does that include?
Our fees, fines and fees. Fees. One of the reasons that's That's only the $115,000 number, very small amount. I will have to get back to you on the specifics for fees, why that's below. I know that,
The year-to-date looks good.
yes, and I'll have to check. I believe that's one of the rental, it's our apartment and rental fee, and we get it in at the beginning of the year. So I will follow up with that and just send a note to council as an email.
Thank you.
Going on down, as I said, not much more to report. Our other charges for services, we will go a little high because we have wheel tax charges. It's not a tax. We have it it's actually in other charges. So we have a lot of that comes in January from the previous year. So how are our various departments doing? Again, I would call your attention to police and fire. They are not really over budget. We charge them for 1/2 of their pension cost. Fire pension cost is a little over $8 million. Police is almost $10 million. So they both got hit with half of that as the charge that goes off to the two pension funds. So that's why that is high. Taking that out, all the departments are under budget year to date, and that would take us down when you think of that, nearly $9 million, of which should be prorated over 6 months. That would knock $4 to $5 million off our total, which would take us down to about a 20% year to date through the first quarter of expenses. So, the gist of it is that we are running a surplus right now, and we normally do. So, in this report, we also then talk about our other operating funds, and that's water, sewer, parking, and solid waste. We don't go into a lot of detail on the remaining funds, but at any alderman's request, we can answer other questions. Water, sewer, parking are always running well below at this point because water is affected by the winter. We have low pumpage, so the revenues are down, and we also don't have any bonds issued by this point. Those are bond proceeds are revenues. And then we also don't have any of the capital programs firing off. Water, sewer, and parking all have substantial capital projects, which we haven't seen any bills yet by the first quarter. So that's why this will be way underreported. Solid waste, on the other hand, is really an operating fund, and it's doing what it's been doing for a long time. And we say to the council all the time how solid waste is our best deficit fund. It's in the hole, but it's been climbing out ever so slowly. That goes back to 2012, where we started the fund with a negative fund balance of $1.5 million. And it has run at a surplus slowly over the last 4.5 years to get us to a negative, about $900,000 in that fund. And every year at budget time, the council considers whether or not to move it along further or not. And the operations are working just fine. It's running at a surplus with a approximate $1 million transfer from the general fund, but it continues to chug along. So this is something that the council could look at during budget to see if they wish to change anything in the solid waste fund. So how are all funds doing? Right on target for revenue at the 25% mark. Again, that does include the mask of the property taxes coming in, but that's offset because we would plan on issuing almost $15 million in bonds that are revenues for the capital funds, and we haven't issued any of those yet. So the short of it is, across all funds, we're doing well. You can see the capital fund. That's almost all bonds, and since we haven't issued any bonds yet, there's no revenue yet. When you look at your first page of your monthly report, you'd see the capital fund losing its cash and fund balance slowly. That's purposeful. We're just waiting to issue the next year's bonds, and that happens in late summer every year. I'm trying to think if there's any others that are of note. Our TIF funds, those all are property tax funds, so that's why you see a lot of revenue in for those, all the TIF-related funds. They would have gotten their property taxes in. And the pension funds, they are at their the actual revenue. That's the transfer in, the $9 million from the two operating departments, police and fire.
Before you move forward, is there any updates on the CBDG fund?
As far as?
Any revenue being withheld, or?
No, I have not heard of any revenue being withheld.
Okay.
But I can follow up.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, but the revenue is also always on a demand basis. So that is just what we have put in for revenue for the year for our projects.
But I think he means, have we gotten our money from the feds?
That's correct.
The answer is no.
And we get our dollars when we request it, each project, or during the, when we're, as Sarah Flax asked for the dollars. This would not show our accrual of revenues that are owed to us from the federal government.
Yeah, we have not gotten what we're owed.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
But that is, we have also not gotten any notice that, in that respect, that we're not going to get it.
Right, that's,
Okay. That's good.
or how much we are going to get.
If you'd like, we'll have that on for for the August discussion at the 6-month mark, where we're at.
Thank you.
I'll have that as a bullet. So expenses, likewise, what I talked about, you can see the general fund right in the middle, right at where it needs to be. But other funds, for our internal service funds, that is the fleet fund, our insurance fund, the monies that we pay to ourselves before we send them out to insurance carriers or whomever, that's going to run close to regular operating, and that's at 20.95%. So it's running as those funds are running as they should. And I think the one reason that you'll see the library also way below is we put the library capital request as well in there. So the library is not an $11 million budget just for operating. That includes capital costs, which they have not spent yet. So we're in stable condition. We're monitoring overtime, included in your packet. We had some concerns over the fire department overtime amount spiking a lot. And as you should note in that packet, our spike is due to a lot of workers' comp and injuries where we have to hire back in. And even with our increase in overtime, we're still below the average for peer communities. So our overtime costs are still not where I would say high. They're higher than our historical levels, but they're not high compared to similar organizations that run a 3-shift full-time fire department. The state of Illinois, we've talked about that. I've talked about the state sales and income taxes. They're expected to be a little bit below budget. The state has been projecting, and so has the Illinois Municipal League, that towards the end of this calendar year, we're going to see a leveling off. We've had very good growth for 4 years, so we're going to see a leveling off. The other thing that may impact our budget towards the end of the year is also where we're at with our land use decisions and how they might affect revenues. And that's not just building permits. We also have the library lot in play. That's not budgeted, that library lot. So we have both good news and bad news. So if the library lot was a sale, that's proceeds into the city. And then you also have the major buildings that are ongoing and the permanent revenue thereof. So we will provide a clearer picture in August after we have 6 months in. Questions?
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation. It's been moved in, I believe there was a second to accept and place on file. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. Item A4, Alderman Sufford.
Sure. Staff recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 53R17, authorizing the city manager to execute payments for emergency structural shoring repairs to the City of Evanston Service Center parking structure. The city manager has authorized staff to execute structural engineering service contracts to assess and temporarily shore the parking structure with Moisha Calamaro and Associates, Belfour Property Restoration, and KPFF Consulting Engineers. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Alderman Rainey.
Could we have an update on exactly what is the condition of the service center parking structure?
Who's that?
Good evening again. Dave Stomack, Public Works Agency Director. At this point, the only known failure has been temporarily shored. We don't want to come to council with a recommendation just to repair that one until we have the opportunity to evaluate the rest of the building. We are getting quotes at this point in time to hire a structural engineer that will walk through the remaining part of the building, identify anything else that needs immediate attention, and then we'll come back to council in one full package to fix the service center appropriately.
Do you have reason to believe it's really serious, or do you think based on Calamaro's original assessment, we overreacted? I mean, what are you thinking here?
Definitely at that one point there was water penetrating in from the roof that caused deterioration and caused spalling and a failure of some structural integrity that needed to be immediately shored to prevent it from failing further. A quick walkthrough by we brought another engineering firm out to walk through the site so he could give us a proposal to do the full inspection. While he was there, he identified 3 other locations just walking through and said that doesn't look good. And then that's why we hired KPFF to come out and actually get up on a scissors lift and do a hammer test at those 3 spots. There is some structural deterioration there, but it wasn't an emergency. So again, we didn't have to do anything right at that point in time. What staff is recommending at this point in time is that we do a full evaluation of the entire structure and then come back to the city council with that consultant's recommendation on what to repair, the estimate of how much it would be to repair, and we hope to have that to you fairly soon.
What did we mean when we said Calamaro's response was non-responsive?
When we were looking for them to give us a quote to inspect the entire building, we were having difficulty getting in touch with them and actually getting a proposal from them. And we were also concerned about these other locations that staff kind of looked up at and said, that doesn't look good, and we wanted an engineer in here now. And that's why we went to the other Evanston firm, KPFF, and brought them in on that quick situation. They confirmed that it was okay for the time being, but that we should still do a thorough investigation.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing item A4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm just going to ask us to be mindful of the time. Item 8.5, Alderman Simmons.
Staff recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 54R-17, authorizing the city manager to execute a parking lease agreement for parking spaces on McDaniel Avenue with 2424 Dempster LLC at Cabul House, located at 2424 Dempster Street. This is for action.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A6, Alderman Fleming.
Staff recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 55-R-17 to adopt the proposed updated Complete and Green Streets policy. The 2017 Complete and Green Street policy seeks to align the city's current policy with the city's age-friendly goals. develop sector and project level reporting matrices, formalize transportation demand management approaches, and establish a policy exemption review channel for non-city-led projects through the Design and Project Review Committee. This item is before the APW since the Parking and Transportation Committee has been unable to meet since November 2016. It's for action.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in, or,
No,
pardon me.
Did somebody second?
I see your light on. Do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed a second.
That's all right.
This is for staff, so maybe Johanna. I just have a question because I know we have a current Complete Streets policy, and I guess my question is, with this new policy, how will that address sidewalks? Because I understand that our current Complete Streets policy does not necessarily address sidewalks, repairing sidewalks. That's part of our 50/50 plan. So I didn't see that addressed here.
Sure thing. Good evening. My name is Kay Knapp, Transportation and Mobility Coordinator. So within the revised 2017 Complete and Green Streets policies, sidewalks will be considered as part of the public way. The revised policy does not specifically give call to the 50/50 sidewalk program. The revised policy does, though, give accelerated attention to different pedestrians, especially those who may use some sort of mobility assistance device, which we know when repairing and considering sidewalks is very important.
Okay. Alderman Rainey?
Kitty, I'm very concerned about where there are no sidewalks. I have spaces in my ward where you walk down the street, and if you turn your head, you'll run into a great big hedge because there's no sidewalk, but there's a hedge. And it's all over. There are places all over my ward where there are no sidewalks. And I was told at some point that we are going to do something about that. Are we?
I see Director Stonebeck light.
Engineering staff is conducting analysis to determine where there are sidewalk gaps, and we are proposing a plan, formulating a plan as to how we can address that. In respect to the other question about including sidewalks when we do street resurfacing in the 50/50 program, the 50/50 program is a voluntary action. One of the things that we could do is, perhaps with council direction, if they desired, would be to say that on streets where we're doing a resurfacing project, that it's not voluntary, that if council elects, staff could analyze the sidewalks and indicate the sidewalk slabs that should be replaced, and then make it a mandatory program, 50/50, for the streets where we're doing the resurfacing. That way we would be more complete addressing all the modes of transportation on that street.
Could you just clarify for everyone, because there's a lot of different stories about why there are some areas where there are no sidewalks? How is it that some areas have no sidewalks?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know how it was determined where to put them in and where not to.
Could you get us that information, and maybe along with that list of Evanston myths, for example, bowling alleys are illegal, why there are no sidewalks someplace?
If I can find the answer, I'll be glad to share it. I'm not sure.
There's got to be a reason.
Right.
There must be a reason why some homeowners have no, I mean, not probably the current homeowners, but at some point in time when a person's house was built, there was no sidewalk put in front of their home.
And I think the other important question that you raised, Director Stonebeck, is when will your report be ready to present to the committee on the
But
areas?
what? I didn't hear that part.
Well, he mentioned that he's working on a plan to address, I have the same
50/50
thing
sidewalks.
in the industrial area, they're missing sidewalks. So when can we expect the report?
It is an accessibility issue, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
No sidewalk.
I would think that we won't have that report ready until probably the first quarter of 2018. That we're in construction season now, and all of our engineers are out overseeing construction projects, so we really don't have staff available to go out and look at other locations.
All right.
I have
For the question.
another guest, sorry, didn't put my
Sorry.
light on. So I do like the matrix that's here. I guess my question, and I'm assuming this is not final, is just that we are extremely thorough, getting back to Alderman Rainey's point with the sidewalk or no sidewalk, about the ADA accessibility and the motorized. And this takes me back to, I know streets that I have where people maybe cannot afford the 50/50 sidewalk repair, and we have beveled streets and people on wheelchairs and such. When I look at that compared to the bikeability list, which is very thorough, I just would like to make sure that we're that thorough with our ADA questions. Thank you.
All right. Pardon me, Janelle, did we give a second on that? Can someone please second that so we can? move
Second.
it? It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Who's up next? I lost track.
Thank you.
Alderman Rainey.
A7.
Yes, A7. A7. Ordinance 50017 amends the city code to establish a four-way stop control at the intersection of Woodbine Avenue and Jenks Street. This is for introduction.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item A8, Alderman Suffredin. Sure.
An authorization for the sale of surplus fleet vehicles owned by the city of Evanston for introduction.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing no lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item A9, Alderman Simmons.
City staff recommends City Council adoption of ordinance 46-0-17, amending City Code Section 9515, regulating small unmanned aircraft in the city of Evanston. Ordinance 46017 addresses ongoing community concerns and provide an enforcement tool related to the operation of small unmanned aircraft, including drones. This is for action.
It's actually for introduction.
For introduction, thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Items for discussion. We have block party applications. Did you want to speak to that?
Just very quickly, now that we're in the summer and it's the height of block party season, 6th Ward is the most block party permit applications. I was hoping we could get some clarity on the process for applications being rejected and also on how we schedule them so that the streets remain navigable, that we don't have them on consecutive blocks going east-west or north-south, that type of thing. Very brief discussion.
Thank you. So this is purely policy that we have at this point in time, and the policy is pretty much written into the application form itself, which is on page 271 of the packet.
Page
271 of the packet. And the policy, this application hasn't been updated since 2012. There's some consideration that the staff that received the request for applications are aware of where other applications are and do not allow two consecutive parties to take place. We also watch when NU has a big event, we don't issue block parties in that area at during that same time as well. Staff is wondering if council would like to try to codify this and put it in as an ordinance. And then the issue that the Alderman Suffredin brought up was on item 3 under the second half, is that all persons within the affected block must have been notified by the applicant and no one must object to the closing of the street or proposed activities. And that seems a little harsh, and that one resident within the entire block could prevent the block party from taking place. So that would be something that we want to try to address in a new code. Additionally, another item that I just wanted to bring up is on the top of the form, there's items 1 through 3. Item 2 indicates that the police department will come out to the block party. Item 3 indicates that the fire department will come out to the party. The Parks and Recreation Department has a new thing this year where they can bring a trailer out to a block party, and they would have anywhere from board games to active games such as badminton, volleyball, and things like that that they could set up and help participate some recreational activities at the block party as well. So that was something that we want to add to the application form to see if residents were interested or not. So staff is asking for direction on this. Would APW like us to come back with an ordinance to codify this and modify some of the procedures?
Yes. I would.
Any other?
Does that mean
Thought?
they'll get a ticket if they violate one of the things? I mean, I just, we just all get along.
Well, I think,
Please, go ahead.
I think it's in the interest of the community to encourage block parties, and that's why I think the increased threshold for having a permit rejected is consistent with that.
Any other comments? City Manager?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, good evening. The only question I would ask is, if we're going to increase the threshold, what's a number you're comfortable with?
And I don't know if it is easier to make it a percentage of homes on the street, or if you want to just make it a raw number.
Either works. I mean, these are generally the blocks have, I think, probably roughly the same number of folks, but a percentage might be more.
I think 3, 5. What?
I guess my question, and so forgive me, I haven't in the last 5 years ever had this. It's not an issue in the second ward, and I don't know where else in the city of Evanston is. So how are people finding out to even contest this in your ward is my first question. So who are they calling to complain to?
Well, it says in question 3 that they'll be notified, so I'm assuming that means city staff is notifying.
How are they? I have no
No,
idea.
I think it's the proponent, it's the applicant of
the applicant.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, the way it worked on our block was that there were flyers put under every door, so everyone was notified there'd be a block party. We had a neighbor who contacted 311 to object rather than reach out to the permit applicant. So, I mean, we could put on the city website, if you object to a block party, get 2 other people, and the permit won't be issued. I don't, just don't go to the block party if you don't like it. That's my.
I don't want to laugh at it.
That's my point. No, I mean,
understanding. I get it.
If you feel strongly enough that there should not be a block party, you should be able to get 2 other like-minded neighbors to agree. I mean, I think 50% is the threshold to get an alley paved. 3 is a fair threshold to get your street not blocked for 5 hours on a Sunday.
Fair enough.
3 sound good?
I support that. We've had it as an issue in the 5th Ward as well, and it was, like Tom said, just one resident that shut down an entire block party where they were notified the night before and had invested a lot in preparing for the block party. So I support that with 3.
If there aren't any other recommendations, we'll just make a referral to our legal staff to come back with something that we can vote on. Fair enough? Perfect. The other quick item before we move to communications, I'd asked Director Stonebeck, from time to time I get complaints regarding Groot, particularly with our businesses. In several months I sat with Alderman Holmes and Director Stonebeck and Groot, and they now have a system in place where they can take pictures of businesses that are constant violators. I know Alderman Rainey has had that issue in her ward more than enough times. So is it possible, Director Stonebeck has a report that he can send out to us. I'm asking if it's broken down by ward, that would be very nice for the Alderman to see, and maybe for Groot to come back to us with a quick little update on how effective that's been working, as well their progress on where they are with the residential.
I can
Identification
reach out
as
to
well.
Groot and see if they're willing to come. I will share the report. I'll figure out what address the properties are in, or what ward the addresses are in, put that to that report, and then send it out.
All right. Any other items for discussion? Seeing none. Any items for communication? Seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's a second. We will start the Plan Development Committee meeting at 7:30. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.